Call this meeting to order. And any members of the body and or citizens also in attendance of the meeting virtually through the WebEx platform meeting number such and such, password such and such, can access by phone via such and such a phone number and be logged in as accordingly. Oh, good. We got Dean here. I don't have to do anything anymore. I was trying to start without you, Dean. There you go. Have a hammer.
So would you do call to order?
No, I haven't gotten anywhere. I started reading the stuff and you came in the door and I stopped.
All right, so you've already called it to,
I haven't done anything. Start the meeting.
okay, so call this meeting to order, a regular meeting of the Plan Commission on Monday, July 8th at 6:30 PM here at the Germantown Village Hall Boardroom, and also can be accessed via WebEx. Village Board member, I'm sorry, Plan Commission members all show present except for Josh Tarantino and the gentleman, I can't see the nameplate, from the school board. Thank you, Frank Lord. Those two members are currently not present and are excused. Did we hear anything from?
Josh did call in.
Okay, so then he is excused. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the Plan Commission meeting of 6/10/2024.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion to approve the minutes? No discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. That then takes us to new business, starting with new business item A. Pino Construction, agent for Stefan and Daniel Grunwald, property owners located at West 124 North 13423, Wasaki Road, for a conditional use permit for a mother-in-law suite, which is on tonight's agenda for public hearing and action. To give us some more information and background on this new business item, we'll turn the meeting over to Josh. Sorry? Jordan, sorry. Jordan. I'm Josh, Jordan, sorry.
All right, thank you. As you mentioned, this is a conditional use permit. It's for Stephen Dan Grunwald. And the address or location is off of Wasaki Road. Here you can see a site location map. The parcel is roughly 13 acres. It's zoned A2. And you'll see in a minute, but also on here, there's an existing dwelling with an outbuilding closer to Wasaki Road. And just to get to the absolute or direct proposal, Pino Construction, agent for the owners of the 13-acre parcel, is requesting this conditional use, which is a public hearing for a mother-in-law suite accessory dwelling unit as a planned addition to the existing dwelling. Here you'll see the site. Most of the site, as you get away from Wasaki Road, is undeveloped natural vegetation. The existing dwelling is in the bottom left portion of that photo you'll see on the screen with the access drive off of Wasaki Road. So here again, 13-acre parcel, A2, agricultural zoning district, existing one-story dwelling, 1,875 square feet. The proposed expansion is about 1,255 square foot living space for the mother-in-law addition. And there is a basement area proposed of 563 square feet separate from the mother-in-law suite. Mother-in-law suite, by the math, totals about 34% of the total square footage that the dwelling will be. And you can see some of the other details in there, as was mentioned in the packet in terms of mother-in-law suites requirements. Here's a quick floor plan here, existing dwelling on the left, new mother-in-law suite portion shown in the box on the right, or the red boxed area. And staff comments pretty minimal, pretty similar to the past mother-in-law suites we've had. Would be allowed in any single family dwelling with a conditional use permit, so it does require a CUP. And then you have the minimum requirements there that were also in the packet, such as no separate exclusive access, can have separate rooms, but it does have to be occupied by a family member. And as you see in the packet, the Grunwald's parents are planned to live there in the mother-in-law suite, and then no separate utilities, and also that 50% living area square footage requirement, which the proposal is under that 50%. So the staff recommendation is to approve the conditional use permit for Stephen Dan Grunwald to allow the mother-in-law suite as part of the single-family dwelling. So with that, it's subject to 4 conditions that were noted in the packet. With that, that's the end of my brief introduction to it, and it is a public hearing, so you can either go to questions or I guess open the public hearing.
Stating the purpose of said hearing is to hear any and all parties, their attorneys or agents for or against a conditional use permit for a mother-in-law suite from the property described below pursuant to section 17.08, subsection 5A of the Village Zoning Code, and the applicant is Stephen and Daniel Grunwald, which are the property owners, and the property is located at West 124 North 13423 Wasaki Road. If there is anyone that was within our audience or joining us within WebEx that would like to speak for or against the conditional use permit, you're welcome to do so at this time. Is there anyone wishing to come forward to speak for or against? Okay. Director Retzlaff, or I'm sorry. Jordan?
You just need to back up. Are they listed?
So the 4 conditions that were in the agenda packet, sort of boilerplate, for instance, the mother-in-law suite shall be constructed consistent with the building plans that were submitted under the CUP and dated April 17, 2024. Mother-in-law suite shall meet the requirements of the zoning code, which was listed in the packet as well under section 17.08, subsection 51A. And then the property owner shall notify the village zoning administrator or staff if the use is to cease. So it's administrative procedure, but basically staff or the village would want to know if the use of it would cease, so there isn't a separate family or different property owner randomly living there. It's meant for
It's
the
a
owner's
rental.
family. And then finally, the conditional use shall not be transferable to a subsequent owner unless said owner is a member of the Grunwald family.
Do you happen to be the owner?
Okay.
Do you understand those terms?
Right.
Are you okay with those terms?
The question was, what were the 4 conditions for the recommendation to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Wait.
Oh,
We're still
you were still
in public hearing.
Sorry.
So at this time, is there anyone else that wishes to come forward to speak for or against the conditional use permit for the mother-in-law suite? If there is no one else, you can close this public hearing.
Now.
Plan Commission.
Make a motion to approve the mother-in-law suite as presented. That's it.
Second by Commissioner Henk.
Motion
Sorry,
made.
I forgot to do that. Trustee Baum made the motion. Commissioner Hank made the second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve? No discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Thank you for coming. Next item under new business is item B, Monchess Engineering, agent for Store Master Funding, 8 LLC, property owner and systems LLC located at West 194 North 11481 McCormick Drive, site plan review for a 24-stall parking lot expansion, and that is on tonight's agenda for action. To give us some more information on this new business item, we'll turn the meeting over once more to our associate planner, Jordan.
All right, thank you. So this is a site plan review. So it's not a public hearing. It's for Systems LLC in the Germantown Industrial Park District. The property owner is seeking approval of a site development plan for 24 additional parking spaces and to pave an area in the northwestern portion of the lot for outdoor storage of materials, which we'll get into in a minute. The site is located off of McCormick Drive, again in the industrial park. Here's site location, existing facility. There was an expansion to the building a few years back. It's roughly 72,000 square foot manufacturing facility with the parking areas mostly surrounding the building in the front a little bit, but to the north and to the west. And again, the site is zoned M1 Limited Industrial. Here's another site image. And the project summary, corporate headquarters, briefly, it's been here since 1979. They design and manufacture loading dock equipment. It's a 6-acre site and no change to the existing building or manufacturing facility. And there's 24 additional parking spaces proposed with that, also the outdoor storage area that was mentioned in the packet and shown. So here it's a little difficult to see, of course, on the slides, but the two red circled areas on the bottom left is the proposed parking expansion, and the circle to the northwestern portion of the property is the new paved outdoor storage for materials for the business. Proposed grading plan that was included in the packet, and there was an engineering memo which we conditioned subject to taking care of a few of those minor technical corrections with the village engineer. Landscaping plans, so there will be landscaping to the west of the proposed parking spaces. There is a small bermed area now, but we did condition it as well that landscaping be brought up into compliance with current village codes to the west for the perimeter landscaped area. Quickly again, site improvements, which I also mentioned, including the site landscaping. And one thing we also did include as a condition of approval is that the storage area that they're proposing to formalize as storage area shall be enclosed and screened in accordance with the ordinance, which right now was basically gravel area, which appeared over the last few years, it seems like. Staff comments on this, again, going through the same storage area. There is an easement, pipeline company easement. They have granted approval for an encroachment. That's the other condition I should mention that was in the packet, that the applicant or agent provide revised approval for the improvements within the easement, considering originally their approval for that was for a gravel area. However, it is a paved parking area and a paved outdoor storage area. There's a review memo from July 3rd that was included, and also the village forester will review the final landscaping improvements before implementation and release of a permit. So with all that, staff recommends approval of the site development plan for the 24 spaces and the new paved asphalt area for the facility off of McCormick Drive, subject to the 5 conditions, which I sort of got into, but they're listed in the packet, so we could read them off if you want, but that's all I have.
Commissioners,
Move approval as presented for discussion.
motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion to approve the site plan review for a 24 stall parking lot expansion? Yes,
Commissioner Hank.
Commissioner Hank.
I would like to note that the parking lot addition doesn't include ADA parking stalls, and it doesn't appear that the existing parking includes it either, and it should comply with the ADA regulations.
Yeah, and that's something that staff can handle with the final approval, but if you wanted to tweak a condition, you could.
Would you like to add anything to the motion to?
I think it can
Reaffirm
be handled at a staff level.
Okay. Further discussion on the motion to approve. Trustee Ball.
Yes, if you pull up the site plan, the eastern 2 parking stalls you cannot get out of. So if you zoom in on the parking lot that's new, the last 2 stalls are flush with the edge of the pavement. You can actually not back out of those stalls and turn back. So I think there needs to be a little dog leg in there, something to back into to get out. So something for staff to consider. You understand what I'm saying?
Can,
Do
do you mind just, okay,
can you zoom in on that or not?
I don't know, actually.
Okay, so
No.
the last stall on the northern new parking and the southern new parking, those last two stalls are in line with the edge of pavement. If I try and back out of that stall to drive out, there's no place for you to back out. I'm gonna back out onto the grass. There should be a pullout there.
What's the distance between the two? Is it
Between-
within the length of
Between the parking spaces?
Yes.
You're at
It's at least,
52 feet, I believe.
yeah, so 18, 18, 34. So it's 18 feet.
So it's
high.
not enough to back all the way out and get your turn in. You should be backing out into a space. I think staff should look at that and just tweak that if necessary. I think staff can handle that at a staff level.
Further discussion? Yes, Mr. Williams.
Can I just ask one quick question? I didn't see any discussion of the lot coverage in the write-up. Just wondering if we're within the 80% lot coverage required by code with the building and the parking lot and the additional asphalt parking lot.
Yeah, I have the site plan, like you said, I guess it's hard to see.
Are you saying within the retention area that's there?
Right, just full coverage with the building and all the paved area. It said the limit's 80%. I'm just wondering if we're in compliance with that if we approve this.
No, I mean, good point. They don't have the math directly on the site plan, but it will be
It will
under that. I can guarantee you that because it's 6-acre site and
Okay.
but again, I guess I might be more comfortable. I'm not sure what the plan commission does typically, but if we would, I don't know if we want to clarify a condition or I could just take notes, I guess, to clarify a couple of those two things with the applicant.
Would you like to leave that up to staff to handle?
Well, I like to leave it up to staff to handle, just to make sure it's in compliance.
Okay. Further discussion on a motion to approve the site plan review for 24 stalled parking lot expansion. No further discussion?
I do have one thing, I'm sorry.
Yes, Mr. Shattuck.
Go back to the comment about the parking lot. Now that you mention it, I don't see the access. This, you come into the parking lot. Let's just show you right here. You come in here.
Come around here, up,
Sorry, there we go. Lost it.
go back to where you were.
Okay. Right, that's a mistake.
I'll stop touching your screen.
That probably helped. Okay, I just don't see how you use the new parking lot at all.
It is, you come around the far end here. This is an erroneous line.
Okay,
That last line is erroneous. You come around the end of these two stalls and come up into this parking lot.
okay, so your concern is like right here.
You can't back out of this stall and go that way.
Okay.
You need a space to back into, which there's usually a dog leg
Yeah.
on the end.
Okay, I had some concerns. I think you're gonna take care of that, but.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I
it's
think.
really confusing the way it's drawn.
I think trustee Baum answered it, but you do drive through the aisle currently and you'll
Right.
loop around to the northern part of the new parking area.
Okay,
What I'm really doing is backing
Back
out
that
this
way,
way,
yes.
this way.
Mhm.
And that line is actually an expansion of asphalt. So
to access the other
from
lot.
here over is new asphalt to access that additional parking
All
stall.
right,
It's another drawing that you have to look at that explains it. That drawing on the
that
screen
does a better job, I guess, really.
explains that it's new asphalt that allows you to get into the new parking lot.
Further discussion on a motion to approve. No further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unopposed? Motion carries. Next item under new business is item C. Joey and Angela Carini, property owners located at West 143 North 9638 Amber Drive, a zoning permit for a fence and a village storm sewer easement. That's on tonight's agenda for action. More information background on this new business item. We'll turn the meeting over to Director Retzloff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Carinis are proposing to install a 4-foot aluminum fence that touches or encroaches into 2 easements on their property. As shown on the screen, the property is located in the Autumn Ridge subdivision, just north of county line. Here's a street view of the Carini property. On this plat of the lot, you'll see two easements along the north property line. Highlighted in blue is a total 20-foot wide storm sewer easement. It's mislabeled on the survey as a water main easement. It is a storm sewer easement. 10 feet lies on the Carini property. And then on the south part of the property, highlighted in gray, is the sanitary sewer easement that runs across the property. It straddles the property line, but the lion's share of it is located on the Carini property about 15 feet, and then it opens up in the rear yard to about 30 feet in width at the end of the property. So the parcel is covered by a significant amount of easement area for underground utilities. This graphic shows a little bit better. You can see along the north property line, that orange line is a 12-inch storm sewer that's located in the easement. And on the south is a 12-inch sanitary sewer line that lies within that easement location. And on this graphic, this survey, you can see the thin red line is the proposed fence located around portions of the side in the rear yard. On the north, it encroaches into 10 feet of the easement that's on the Carini property. And then a small portion, a corner, if you will, of the proposed fence encroaches into the sanitary sewer easement. As we've discussed in the past, Section 17.50 prohibits fences in any type of easement except a drainage easement at the discretion of the Plan Commission, with evidence that considering the proposed location, design, and materials of the proposed fence, the fence will not interfere with drainage flow within the easement, and a homeowner association consent to the encroachment, or if not, a subdivision adjacent landowner consent. The storm sewer located in the easement along the north property line. The storm sewer is underground. The easement is not designed for overland flow. As you can see on this particular graphic, you can see the difference in elevation between the two properties. So it's not designed for overland flow, that easement that lies between those two homes. The village engineer, as a matter of course, is recommending not to allow the fence in the storm sewer or the drainage easement, but does recognize the Plan Commission authority to do so. And if the Plan Commission is to approve the fence in the easement, he recommends that the contractor or the owner locate the center line of the storm sewer with assistance from the village utility and install a fence a minimum of 5 feet offset from the storm sewer center line. And also the somewhat standard condition that the owner be responsible for any costs associated with removal of the fence in the future due to the village needing to operate or maintain that particular easement.
Here is the issue.
The
This is the issue. That's the issue.
The 12-inch sanitary sewer, however, that's located in the easement along the south property line, the Plan Commission doesn't have the authority to approve the fence in that sanitary easement, so that corner will have to be moved out. The fence will have to be outside of that sanitary sewer easement entirely. Again, the village engineer recommends not allowing it. It's a moot point. Plan Commission doesn't have the authority to approve that in a sanitary sewer easement. So the staff recommendation is to approve the zoning permit application to install a 4-foot aluminum fence within a 10-foot storm sewer easement on the property located on Amber Drive, subject to 6 conditions that I can read if necessary. Thank you.
Make a motion to approve with the 6 conditions as presented.
Seconded by Commissioner Henk.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Trustee Bohm.
Is the applicant here? You aware of these 6 conditions? You okay with the 6 conditions? In such that you cannot have this southern thing butting into that? You're okay with that?
No.
Okay.
Is it purpose to to pen in an animal, your pet or kids and animals?
Kids are animals.
Yes, sometimes it can be both, yes. Um, are there other fences within your community that are similar?
Right next door. If you go back
Yeah.
on the photos, right next door
Yeah,
had a fence.
Next door has a fence, but their fence
there.
is outside of the easement as it straddles their
deck.
portion of the property.
No, right there. Right there.
No, okay.
That's irrelevant to us. But I'm okay with approving it if you're okay with the restrictions that the village has put on it.
Right. If any construction or maintenance needs to be done on the storm sewer where the fence is an issue, it will be taken up and it'll be put back in under your expense.
Follow that. So if there's congestion on water flow, our staff could come in and rip out your fence
To get to it.
and leave it laying on the ground. And it's your objective to put it back in at your cost.
In a situation where does the
No. No, village, it's an emergency. The village sees it as an emergency. They're coming in and ripping out your fence because water's not flowing.
There was a cave in or something,
Yeah.
who knows? So I can see this two storm sewer grates there, so you know that pipe runs right along that part of the property line.
I think it is fair to say if it's not an emergency and it's scheduled maintenance, that
That could happen.
they'll
as
let
well.
you know in advance.
Yes.
And the plan is to put in cement posts to cement the fence, the aluminum fence into a cement base? Okay.
Related, we're ready to question, how deep is a storm sewer? It's not as deep as a sanitary sewer, is it?
I do not know, and the engineer did not know how deep the sanitary sewer is. I mean, the storm sewer is in that location.
6 feet.
All greater than 4 feet.
Well, what I thought was that it would be easier to damage a storm sewer when you put in the fence. It's higher, closer to the ground level. I don't think 4 feet though would be a problem.
Which is why the engineer's recommending an offset of 5
Right,
feet.
right, right.
When they put aluminum fence in my yard, they put those cement posts down 4 feet. They drilled down 4 feet and then they put the post into the cement at 4 feet.
So that kind of goes along with the restriction we're getting, because 4 feet's getting pretty close to, it's right there.
They're trying to warn the resident that if you get too close to the sewer pipes, water pipes, whatever it is, storm sewer, there's an issue.
All right. Well, I kind of feel the same way you do. I don't have a problem with it, as long as we follow the restrictions.
As long as they're aware of it.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't setting a precedence and this was the first fence in this area, but you've proven to me that there's several already.
Correct.
Okay. All right, further discussion. We have a motion, correct? You made a motion?
Trustee Baum made the motion. Trustee Hank made the second.
Further discussion on the motion to approve? No further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for coming. Next item under new business is item C, Joey and Angela Carini, property owners located at West 143, North 9638 Amber Drive, a zoning permit for a fence. No, did I just say that?
It's the same thing.
Okay, I'm on to D then. I apologize. Item D, Neil Pizarski, property owner located at West 156, North 10864, Deacons Court. That is a zoning permit for a fence in a village storm sewer easement. Give us more information, background on this new business item. We'll turn the meeting over once again to our associate planner, Jordan.
All right, thank you. And this may ring a bell for some of you as we had a similar type request to the property right adjacent to this one to the north a few months ago. So this property is located off of Deacons Court. Neil Pizarski is the property owner who I believe is in attendance tonight. He's proposing or seeking approval, as we just mentioned, to construct a 6-foot cedar privacy fence fence in a storm sewer easement, so not a sanitary easement, storm sewer easement running along the northern side of the subject property. And it is within the Legend Acres subdivision. Here's the site location map, single-family zoning. Property that I just mentioned that was here a few months ago is right to the north. And that fence is on the southern part of that property in the same overall storm sewer easement. Here's a photo or image of the Plata survey. The survey is twisted, but north is facing towards the ceiling as you're looking at it. This 10-foot storm sewer easement is highlighted in that red box. And the property owner, as you'll see in this next photo, or this is a street image, I guess, from Pilgrim Road. There is a fence on the southern side of the property that the property owner got a permit for last year. However, the proposal now is to loop the rest of the fence along the Pilgrim Road side of the property and then along the northern side to fully enclose the rear yard. The storm sewer, as you saw on the plat, is the 10-foot swath on the northern side of the property that the fence would encroach upon. Staff comments here for the section in the zoning code, what the plan commission shall consider. And basically you consider the proposed location, design and materials on whether or not it interferes with drainage flow. And then also if HOA consent was granted, as was the case with the neighboring property to the north. Legends Acres does not have an HOA, so that point or condition is obsolete in a sense. And basically the storm sewer easement is not a drainage easement. So the top bullet, we didn't see basically being applicable in terms of interfering with drainage flow. So finally, staff comments, 12-foot storm sewer located 3 to 4 feet north of the subject property line. So with the prior case, the village went out, they did locate a 12-inch storm sewer, but it was technically on the property to the north. So it is within the overall easement, but it's on the easement portion to the subject property neighboring this one. Legends Acres subdivision, HOA not active. Storm sewers underground, easement not designed for overland flow, as I just mentioned. And the highway superintendent recommends extreme caution, of course, with installing the fence, as the exact location of the one that they generally located last year was not precisely found, but we are pretty comfortable knowing it is several feet to the north of the property line. So with that, staff recommends approval of the zoning permit application for the 6-foot fence, subject to 6 conditions at the subject property. Most of the conditions are probably the same as the last case.
Move approval with the 6 conditions as presented. Trustee Baum.
Trustee Shetted?
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Trustee Baum.
Mr. Przeski, you're here. The illustration shows an existing fence north of you. Is that fence being removed? Or are you putting a fence next to a fence?
Sir, can I just ask you to come up to the podium and just state your reply? There are people that are watching, and it helps the people in the audience also hear your reply. If you could also press the button on the base,
So the light goes
so
off.
the light on the microphone goes off, and then pick the microphone up so it's a little bit closer to you. That would be appreciated. Thank you so much.
Okay, my name is Neil Pisarski, and what was the question?
Is the illustration shows that there's a fence already on the property line. Is that fence coming down, or are you putting a fence next to a fence? So there's a
To the north.
no man's land between the 2 fences.
The property to the north, they removed that fence and put a new fence up, and their new fence is south, it's about 3 feet off the lot line, so they're like almost in the line of the sewer pipe.
So is the northern horizontal line on that drawing really going to be installed, or is that really the existing neighbor's fence? So you're just connecting.
Their fence is about 3 feet north of that lot line. That's not a fence, that's a lot line.
Just to clarify, that blue line, it's a lot line on the GIS.
And I'm trying to figure out whether I'm putting 2 fences next to each other, or the neighbor's fence, I'm gonna butt up into the neighbor's fence.
Sounds like there's no fence there.
There's gonna be a no man's land in between.
How wide would you say maybe?
It's about 6 feet.
6 feet, okay.
And
Okay.
who will be responsible for cutting and maintaining that?
Well, it'll be like half and half, but
Is there a reason why you don't just butt up into the neighbor's fence?
we talked about that.
Yeah.
And he's got a plastic fence and I'm putting up a cedar fence and they're different materials. So I think that's the main reason.
Okay,
But
Right.
as far as a storm sewer, I'll be through, I gave you a note. It was about 5 to 7 feet off the storm
Yeah.
sewer center line.
Approximately.
Because they came and they measured it and they said it would be within 1 or 2 feet.
okay, so then the standard question I ask everybody about these fences, you're aware that when the village wants to come in and rip it down because they got an issue,
I would
they
be
rip
okay
it
with
down at
that.
they rip it down on their, and you put it back up at your expense.
Yep, I'm okay
Okay.
with that.
All right,
Further discussion? No further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Psarski, for coming.
you.
Next item under new business is item E, Quick Trip KT Real Estate Holdings, agent for Ben Venue Properties, Germantown LLC, property owner located at West 188, North 11762 Maple Road, former PNC Bank. This is a site plan consultation for the proposed Quick Trip convenience store relocation, which is currently located at West 188, North 10963 Maple Road, and that is on tonight's agenda for discussion. To give us some more background information on this new business item, we'll turn the meeting over to our director, Jeff Retzloff. Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. About a month or so ago, staff met with Troy Malezova and Jeff Osgood representing Quick Trip and KT Real Estate Holdings. They're interested in relocating the existing Quick Trip convenience and fueling station located on Maple Road, the southwest quadrant of Maple Road. They want to relocate to the northeast quadrant, essentially across the street. As shown on the screen in the old PNC Bank property, it's no longer operating as a bank. There's some office space that I believe is occupied by 1 or 2 tenants. But for all intents and purposes, it's been vacant for a number of years. The Quick Trip is looking to construct a new up-to-date convenience store that would be approximately 9,000 square feet in area. The site is 4.4 acres, much larger than the existing 2.5 acres, which would give them more room for parking, circulation. Also, they're adding, in addition to expanding the gasoline fueling station and number of pumps to a total of 20 pumping positions, they're going to be adding a couple of bays in the new canopy area for diesel fueling for trucks, as shown on the concept plan that's presented on the screen. Couple of renderings. This is a rendering of the building. There's some dormers and some the gable ends that are intended to address, if you will, the Germanic theme concept, along with some of the two-tone brickwork on the side of the building. Certainly, that's an item that we'll want to discuss. The 2 canopy areas detached from the building on the lower left, the gasoline fueling canopy and pumps, and on the upper right, the diesel fuel canopy location. Again, the proposal is to relocate from the existing Maple Road site, demolish the existing office building, redevelop the site with new curb and gutter driveway and parking areas, on-site stormwater management, lighting and landscaping would be new. The building constructed 9,176 square feet of a convenience store with a detached 2-bay car wash and vacuum island, detached gasoline canopy with 20 pump positions, detached diesel canopy with 2-bay pump positions, an outdoor patio with picnic tables. The operation would continue to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and include 28 to 35 full and part-time employees with 2 to 8 staff on site at any given time. The non-fuel products to be sold would be the latest and usual, if you will, for those of us, those of you who are Quick Trip patrons, groceries, bakery and dairy, hot and cold food and beverages, tobacco products, off-sale alcohol products, lottery products, ice, propane, et cetera. The existing site, once the new site were open, the existing site would be decommissioned. Removal of the fuel system, the tanks, the pumps, and the canopies would be done, and the property would be put up for sale. I would add that the new site is located in the Lannon-Mequon Road corridor, which is intended for commercial retail uses as desirable, also allow for institutional, single-family, multifamily, senior residential, and open space as allowable uses as well. The existing zoning of the site is B3, general business, and rezoning to B5 highway business would be in order to allow for the fueling station and the car wash uses that are proposed. The more critical issue at hand is the fact that the site, the new site, as well as the existing site, are both located in a wellhead protection zone for the village for wells 5 and 7. The wellhead protection regulations for the village were adopted in late 2010. And the existing site was pre-existing, had it been operating as a gasoline station before it was acquired by Quick Trip. The wellhead, under the wellhead protection regulations of 17.40 of the zoning code, motor vehicle filling station is a prohibited use, except for pre-existing, non-compliant, non-conforming businesses, as is the case with the existing Quick Trip location. However, 17.40 does allow pre-existing businesses to expand, provided there's new technology and or equipment that's used to diminish the potential for wellhead contamination if a spill were to occur or a leakage of the tanks. While the new Quick Trip location would not be an expansion in a strict interpretation of the code, relocating the site, decommissioning the old site, removing the tanks, generally meets the intent of that particular provision of the code. And along those lines, the village attorney, I'm sorry, is advising that the village consider a code amendment to the wellhead protection regulations to clarify and or address this particular situation where we have an existing flourishing business wants to expand, relocate within the same area, the same community, and in so doing would provide a better level of protection against potential wellhead contamination. And so that's an item that would have to be addressed separately from any further consideration of the Quick Trip proposal to relocate. But with that said, issues that we would want to address beyond the wellhead protection include site development issues such as the building, the location, the orientation, site access, circulation, and parking, particularly the circulation with respect to semi-trucks coming into and leaving the site. To what extent we're going to require a traffic impact analysis. Staff would recommend that we do in this particular case. Other issues would be including signage. There's an existing non-compliant, non-conforming pylon sign located in the corner. And with regard to the building details itself, architecture and materials, landscaping and lighting, the typical items that we would want to address. Before we discuss those items, I would just point out that other beyond tonight, permits and other approvals that would be required, including rezoning into the B5 Highway Business District, conditional use permits required for the self-serve car wash. A site plan approval would be necessary. That would include site development, stormwater management, landscaping, lighting, and building plans, a sign permit for signage, a site grading and erosion control, and ultimately building permits for the site. With that said, tonight's discussion is as a consultation only. There's no formal action required, but Quick Trip would like to get feedback from the Plan Commission with regard to any issues that you feel are worth discussing and providing feedback on, including those that I just enumerated. We do have representatives for Quick Trip. Troy is here this evening. Troy, do you want to come forward and give us any comments to supplement what I've said, correct anything that I might have misstated?
Sure. Good evening. My name is Troy Malezova, Director of Real Estate with Quick Trip, 1626 Oak Street, La Crosse, Wisconsin. Thanks for the time. I think Director Retzloff did a good job summarizing our proposal. Maybe just one step back. The store that is there today that Quick Trip operates was an acquisition store we bought from the R family. It was a mobile station. 2009 was when we acquired it, invested in the property, and it's been a good facility for us, been of service to the community. We do get suggestions from time to time. Why is the ceiling so low in this store? You could use more restrooms. You could use more fueling positions because I don't want to wait for fuel. So we do have feedback that the community, in terms of our guests who are frequenting this store, would like to see us do more with that site. So what this presented was the opportunity to be of service going forward. We think this is a good opportunity, and we'll be happy to partner with the village in terms of your feedback on how we redevelop this property and be of service for the years going forward. Thank you.
Trustee Baum.
Troy, your existing site is a pain in my butt. I cannot get in there. I cannot get out of there. I cannot get my snacks. I cannot go to the bathroom. It's a problem. Everything you talked about.
It's popular.
It's popular. This is what we need. If you can't do it on that site, let's go ahead and do it at kitty corner from the street. I'm in favor of this. There's some issues. We got to deal with it. We got some Germanic themes. We got some access points we got to deal with. Everything that Planner Retzloff has discussed, I also agree with. But what I've dealt with on that existing site is problematic. I think this would solve all those problems. So I am in favor of this. I think we have some issues that we have to deal with. If we have to go through all those issues tonight, I'll be happy to do it, but I'll let the rest of the commission talk first.
I had one thing I wanted to bring up. It was left out of your presentation, Jeff, but it's in the packet. I think it's important that we know that when we move this permit to have the fuel storage, fuel distribution, and the concerns with the wellheads, that the other property would not be used as a fueling station. That's a condition of your sale of that property. That was correct?
Correct, it is.
Okay. I mean, I think that's important. I don't see any evidence that you haven't been good stewards of your responsibility. But expanding that to 2 sites, I think is more than we'd want to do. But I am also in favor of what you're trying to do here.
Thank you.
Ms. Hank.
All right. I also agree. The existing site needs some additional attention. I think you've solved a couple of those things. Like Trustee Baum, I have a couple of concerns with this site layout, but I think we're on the right path. The things I like is that there are separation between the car wash and the parking areas, but it does seem a little bit clustered on the southwest side of the building. That seems like an opportunity for people to drive very quickly from Mequon Road into that area, opportunity for conflicts. So I'd like to see a little bit more attention to the site circulation, especially in that zone. Additionally, with the environmental nature of fuel storage tanks, we did hear that they'd be removed from the old site. I'd also like to see some additional environmental investigation to verify that those tanks hadn't leaked to during your ownership, prior to your ownership. They're notorious leakers, to make sure that the next owner doesn't have to deal with fuel cleanup on that property.
So are you proposing additional monies for the cleanup of the site if it's required for remediation?
With their tank removal, they can do that testing with that removal, and that ends up being a much more cost-effective way to do it. And that may be more appropriate than putting money aside for a future cleanup.
Okay. Mr. Williams?
I just want to make sure I understood in the write-up, the access says it's not going to change. So it's going to be Mequon Road and Maple Road. And I always get a little confused, even though I've been in Germantown a long time, that Mequon Road is not the same as 167, which is the Landon Road. So there's no intent to have any access to this location from 167. It's from Mequon Road.
Correct.
Okay. And I'm also going back to the point on the remediation. I'm assuming that any buyer of that property is going to require an environmental phase 1 and 2. They're going to require the testing. And that would be something, that would be a private situation as opposed to us being involved. That's going to be you and the buyer. Is that fair to say?
Correct. Our typical process here would be to go through what we call a decommissioning process. So we would remove the fueling system, remove the tanks. Obviously with that, the fuel canopy comes out and go through the process with the DNR. We've got a great record of working with them across the state. And whatever's there, we would decommission and remove. Something was found and there was more reporting need to be done, we'd follow that as well. But to your point, if a future buyer in the past, yes, typically, I think with the quality of that real estate, you're probably gonna have someone who's interested in doing those tests as well on their side to confirm the property they're buying would be what we feel is quality real estate, so.
Yeah. And they may in that dealing require you to clean up any issue that would be there, even outside of anything that we're involved with.
Potentially, yeah.
That's okay.
Trustee Baum? Director Retzloff?
I was going to ask a couple of questions of Troy with regard to the site plan. And I'd like you to comment on at least two things initially. One, circulation. How do you intend to get semis into and out of this particular site? And then secondly, on the site plan, you've got an area shown as potential truck parking that looks to be a rather large swath of what's existing green space right now. How do you intend to address that? Is that going to be a sea of asphalt, or is that going to be different than what's shown?
I would assume it's for overnight parking, correct?
It is, but I think what we envision it more as is even right now at our facility, we get folks from the industrial park either bringing product into the park or bringing product out. They'll stop over for lunch. They'll stop over before they drop their shipment. So right now they're parking on the private access road over there. They might stop for lunch. They might stop to use the restroom, get a cup of coffee, and they're there. So for us, we've got our facility up in Richfield that has a substantial truck parking area, more oriented to the Interstate 41 traffic. Here we know we're going to need space for folks. We're going to stop, use us for lunch, use us for breakfast, use us for fuel, and then likely be on their way, but they still need somewhere to kind of stage or park or get out of the way. So right now, we just showed that area as a potential area. If you've seen the site, the grade goes up as you go south to north. So there's some challenges in there we have to work through on the grading plan and the details in terms of how you engineer that site. So as of now, we just showed a line with that area. Obviously, we got to get into the details and engineer it and figure out exactly how those movements work and fit in there. I guess back to Mr. Retzloff's question, orientation, we'd have the diesel canopy sign. You see the truck facing, I guess, the northeast. So we'd have that canopy sign. So it would say diesel enter on, here you have it be the southwest facade of the diesel canopy and exiting north, so that then they could then fuel pull forward and then have room to pull over and park and then exit out, most likely to the north to the existing driveway to Mequon Road. Cars, would come into the site predominantly from Maple, from the access point there. Then they could orientate themselves into the gas pumps, into the parking on both facades of the store, both south and I guess you call it west. They could then go back out Maple Road, but then if they also needed to, they could get back out via Mequon Road to the north as well. Obviously, Mequon Road swings around back to the east, looking up with 167 again. So we've got good connectivity to get people different directions, both north and both back out. Maple, obviously right now the DOT is working on improvements out there to that intersection this year. So there's some improvements coming that we think will be a good benefit, not just for Quick Trip and this site, but that intersection as a whole. I guess, does that answer your question, Jeff, in terms of circulation?
Yes and no. I am a little concerned about semis exiting to the north because the distance from the driveway to the intersection is less than 200 feet. So there's not a lot of maneuverability area northbound exiting. Are you intending to maybe expand the driveway so there's a sort of a dedicated left turn lane and a separate right turn lane if vehicles want to get out and go right?
That's a good question. That's something we could definitely look at. Right now, I think we're showing a 35-foot width. If it needed to be a little wider to get that opportunity for 2 exit lanes, we could definitely look at that.
And I think a traffic impact analysis that looks at the driveways and the turning movements would be helpful in revealing what, if any, improvements may be necessary at the driveway points to accommodate the vehicle turning. Is there so would it be possible for a semi to get out back onto Maple directly?
I think at this point, we would say yes, you could probably circulate through the fuel canopy, make a U-turn type movement, head back out to Maple.
Okay.
That would be possible. Again, here, our thought is we'll design it to have it for full length semis and some of those folks will stop here. But I think a good mix of what we'll have here is the box trucks, dump trucks, contractors with trailers that are in and out of the yard that don't necessarily access the gas canopy as well. We want to try to keep those folks separated from our usual customer with a car or pickup truck or whatnot. So we've got, again, our facility in Germantown where we can service the folks on the interstate that are usually the big rigs that are out there, the 18-wheelers. We can accommodate them here and we'll get some. But I think a healthy mix of the customers that we expect here would be those box trucks, shorter trucks that maybe aren't full-length semis that you might see.
Will you allow overnight parking? And
We would if we could.
Are you offering all the amenities of what would be considered a truck stop with, time to rest, showers, those types of things?
No, to that end, no. This would be what we call a side diesel fueling. So we would not have showers. We would not have laundry facilities.
So it's not like the facility that's a little bit further north.
Correct. That has a lounge area, showers, laundry, those type of amenities that we would not have at this location.
Okay. Trustee Paul?
I don't think this is fully thought through. I think there are some issues with it yet. If you try and take a semi truck through the diesel canopy and think you're gonna park it in the potential truck parking facing northeast, I don't think you can get a truck to do that. So I think there's some things that have to be thought through with the plan. So I'd say, in my perspective, yeah, generally I'm okay with you putting this here, but you gotta figure some stuff out with the plan. The second part of it is we have a requirement for Germanic theme along Mequon Road, and there's nothing about this that is Germanic. Are we going to impose the Germanic theme here or not?
Is it in the corridor?
Is it in the corridor or not?
it is. However, over time, we've been somewhat lenient with respect to the architectural materials. I mean, the office building across the street is in the corridor, but isn't as quote unquote Germanic as other buildings along Mequon Road, depending on your interpretation of what Germanic is or should be. This particular graphic, maybe Troy can explain. I think the metal seam roof is a green.
It's your standard Quick Trip.
One of,
We've-
one of 4 or 5
Yeah, we've
standards.
seen it all over the place. We understand what this is. Is this suitable for our Germanic vision? Do we want the Germanic vision, or are we going to give up the Germanic vision and accept this? That's what I think this board has to weigh in on at this point.
You know, the only thing positive about this is it's not the scaled down version of what this size of development is. It has a lot of the brick, it has a lot of the fascia, it has a lot of the accrements along the corners. So it's positive in that manner. It has, you know, some stone over the archways, over the doors, around some of the windows, which is nice, but it's not what I would consider Germanic theme. This is one of your standard buildings that you've put in other places of similar size. So this is kind of what I would call your new versions of buildings. A good example of this is in Oregon, Wisconsin. You had an older building that was across the street off of M, and you built one across the street that was brand new, similar to what you see here. Bigger, better, absolutely. A lot of amenities and a lot better traffic pattern than was at that older building. So, you know, it has a lot of positives for that area. Does that mean it has positives for this area here in regards to the way this building looks and what we would want it to see? I like the idea of where it is. It's not, it's more quick on, quick off. And that's a positive, you know, if you're looking for someone to get off the freeway, get to a gas station and get back on quickly. I think this is a better suited place than where you are currently. But I have a couple other, you know, reserve questions, more importantly towards the Wellhead Preserve area and the switching over of this and how its protections impact. And the circle that you showed earlier, what is that circle encompass?
The thin orange line amoeba shape
Yes.
highlights the area within which in particular well, the red dots, if you see well 3, that's the area around it is smaller.
Right.
The depth of well 3 is less than what it is for wells 5 and 7.
7 are big producers.
Yes, and so there, the area that coincides, the cone of influence that coincides with those wells is much larger. And the flow, if you will, of the underground water, so to speak, is moving from left to right, from west to east.
I like the idea of your investment within Germantown. I like the idea that you're willing to put this investment here, and the reasons for it are more traffic friendly. My concerns become with wellhead protection, especially 5 and 7, knowing they're big producers for Germantown, and taking where you are now and thinking of where that is in a demographic and where most water runs from that area, and how much of a difference does it make to go kitty corner? Are you now on the other side where it tends to run towards, well, 5 and 7 and 3, where you are currently runs away? So, you know, those are kind of some of the concerns I have. And more importantly, 5 and 7, those are huge, significant producers for Germantown, and to impact that with any type of you know, the impact that a gas station can have because of drainage or the way that water runs from that site, that is a huge concern for me. Where you are currently, does it run in a different manner? It might, because you have kind of a wetland within you, you know, around you, across the street from you, to the back of you. Does the water run more towards that way? to where, it won't impact the wells, to where if you were on the other side of the street because of the topography, will it run more towards that area? Those are concerns I have. I am 100% behind your development and the positiveness of how it gains access for those that are coming to that facility. I have some reserves to make sure that we're not getting overnight truck parking, because I don't think that's a place for it. I think where you are on Holy Hill Road is a better suited place for that. I don't think this is a suited place, and I agree with you. I think most of your business will be the trucks, and let's call it the short truck pickups, the LTLs, that pick up in that business park area are going to be your biggest customers, where the long-term full truckloads that go across, the expressways and the interchanges are not going to be your big customer. It's going to be in that business park area for lunches and for gas and for whatnot. So I can see why you're looking at that area for that reason. I still have some cautionary, and how do we look at protecting, and what are we doing, and what type of flow are we talking about for those wells? Because that is a huge concern for me. The wells are, our lifeblood of the community. Clean water is important for this area, and it's connected to the overall system. So it has an impact to not just water in that area, but to water throughout Germantown. So I don't know how you can show flowage or drainage. I can understand it for where you are currently because of like I said, the wetlands and the marshes that are in that area. I would tend to believe that water would run in that direction, where if you go on the other side, does that change it? And that would be a question in my mind that I'd like to see. Planner Retzhoff.
Troy, can you explain how you deal with this sort of situation in other communities? Have you had experience with other stores in a similar situation where you might have been required to employ extraordinary equipment or monitoring or other devices or things that would further enhance the protection of groundwater?
Yeah, I think in short answer, we could probably get our internal folks. We have an environmental manager on team. We could get our engineers to provide more details on what the system is maybe today versus what we've been proposing.
Mhm.
I think the modern system is much more
Robust.
intense. The fueling systems themselves are much more expensive and complex. I know there's double walled systems with monitoring in between. They're all computerized. We have a 24/7 comm center. If something shows up, even water between the two walls of the tanks, that automatically notices, and we give folks like North Shore Environmental to check out issues that we might have. So the modern systems are much more robust and extra layers built into them. In terms of other communities, I know up in the Stevens Point, Central Sands area, part of the state, they have very large wellhead protection areas. And there were certain amenities that we built in, kind of best management practices, BMPs, in terms of what those best practices are. Like, for example, the clean water from the roof from the store and the gas canopies is sent and piped differently than you'd have the runoff coming off the parking lot. That's designed and collected into a system, curb and gutter, with sump pumps that have oil skimmers and kind of modern technology on them that help separate that, to keep that fueling kind of dirty parking lot water separate from clean water or rough water, if you will. So there's different things that you can do that we've done, that we've kind of employed, kind of bells and whistles, belts and suspenders, if you will, on systems and some locations throughout the state that had similar concerns and similar issues. And I think there's a possible way that you can make that work to address those concerns and make it overall a better system than.
And I am not against this development in the sense of your investment willing to make in Germantown. And I like the idea that it is a Wisconsin-based company. We're looking to invest further in Germantown to expand your footprint within it. But when I look at it as a village representative, I need to protect the water in the sense of knowing how much those two wells produce for this village, and make sure that they are safely protected, not only for today, but for the future.
Troy, do you know at your existing site, have you replaced the tanks since you've owned the property in 2009?
I don't know off the top of my head. I would suspect no.
I wouldn't think so.
I don't know for certain, but I would suspect no.
I don't remember anything happening there in that regards.
Yeah, one of the things I keep coming back to in my own head is the idea that we have an opportunity, all else being equal, to replace an existing antiquated system with something newer and better. And maybe we can require something that Quick Trip is willing to go along with that's even further enhances that, whether it be monitoring wells or other equipment or something, whatever's out there to ensure that any above ground spill is taken care of by way of the runoff in the system that collects that runoff and treats it, as well as underground as well, if there's something that can be accomplished there.
Yeah,
Triple wall tanks or whatever.
The
that
best
sounds.
thing is they're a little bit further from Menominee River, but they're a little bit closer to our wells.
Right.
and it's a new, modern, contemporary, state-of-the-art facility as opposed to a 30-year-old gas station.
30,
How old is the
Yeah.
facility?
10?
Well, if they acquired it in 2009,
How old is it from its original
15 years.
inception?
I believe it's late nineties, 2000, somewhere around that vintage.
All right, 20 years. right.
Getting close to 30. It's a,
All right.
let's just say it's an antiquated
I
station.
wouldn't disagree with that. Anything 20 years old is in a sense antiquated. Anything over 15 years.
And they're gonna bring it up to modern standards, and we're gonna make them go beyond modern standards.
And I would assume you looked at everything that's possible on that site and decided that it's not worth investing or trying to expand the site that's you currently are on.
God, no.
We did.
Okay.
We've looked at that site. We spent a fair amount of time seeing if there's ways we could address some of the comments we got. The short answer is it's a 2.5 acre site with oblong shape, and it's not the most efficient piece of property that there is. So yes, we've looked at it and come to the conclusion that this might be the best opportunity to give service for many years to come with a facility that not only we're proud of, but that the community can
Mhm.
be proud of and frequent, hopefully, and not have some of the concerns that we hear about today.
There are certain times of the day that I won't go there because of how busy they are. So that's in congratulations to the support that the community gives to that site. Even though there's one just a little bit further up that's larger, I think that one's still well supported and in a sense well maintained. It's always kept up very well. The inside of the store is very clean, and the outside of the store is also well maintained without any litter or garbage around. So we appreciate that too.
Thank you.
Additional questions,
I have one more.
comments, Mr.
Uh,
Williams?
Just related to the same issue of the contamination of pollution, is Quick Trip, I assume, in other communities is willing to add the village as a named insured, additional insured on your environmental policies, your GL policies. So if there was any issue, we would have, you guys would be responsible. We would have your coverage in place for the village as it relates to the water, any water issue that may be addressed.
That's a good question. I've never had that in my.
Never had that. I'm just thinking like you might have like environmental cleanup policy, on-site policy for your.
We've had that
for the-
before, Bob. didn't we?
We've had it
Somebody
before.
else
Yeah, we've
did
had.
that For their insurance
we've had a few
rider?
people, yeah.
Is that the environmental place over there on Just Bay?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I can't think of their name.
the one in the business park,
South Power?
say it again,
I'm sorry, what?
the place that picks up chemicals in our business park?
Fire safety.
Oh, yeah.
Fire safe, yes. We asked them to be a rider, and to put a rider on their insurance for any contamination or spills that they would have caused. Thank you, Bob, for that. Thank you for remembering.
I have a couple more.
Yes, Ms. Hank.
So does the existing site have any stormwater management?
It does. We have a picture of it or not.
There it is.
The current site,
No, the existing Quick Trip.
existing Quick Trip, no, it doesn't have anything.
That might be a good thing to point out, that with the stormwater management, that's another barrier to collecting the water before it enters the aquifer. Another thing I've seen in other communities is requiring an aquifer study and what the drawdown and impact to those wells are. You know, what is the duration of time it would take for it to make it to the wells? That ends up being a pretty in-depth engineering study, but maybe worth your while.
Sewer and water there.
Yes, there's sewer and water.
Okay, anything else? Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, I'd like to get back to the architecture materials. I don't think we've really gave a lot of feedback, what we would like to see differently. Certainly, we don't want a flat roof.
No, personally, I think you can tweak this design to get Germanic influence into it. It's not that far away from it.
Well, and that was my suggestion to Troy, and they came up with this rendering where they've added some dormers. Is that
Help.
moving in the right direction?
The dormers help rather than, in other renderings I've seen, they have a large expanse of roof. Metal roof all the way across the front with, what you have in that window element and what you have in your main door element over there. But all the other areas have been large expanse of roof. So the dormers are very much appreciated. And do those bring light within, or are they just false?
Right now, they would just be a false front. So the actual roof of the building, it's a flat roof building, a bathtub, if you will. And then the parapet walls come up to hide all the mechanical equipment. So
Okay.
if you go to our old store, a lot of that sits on the ground behind the compressors.
So they're non-functional ornamental. Okay, but I do appreciate how it breaks up the roof line, because I've seen other buildings where they have large expanse of the metal roof, and I don't like that look. However, you can bring in more of a Germanic theme, and I'm not looking for mortar and pilaster, but something that has more of a German look to it, whether it be some cross beams within the triangles.
The gable treatments?
Yeah, something along those lines that have some open beam looks to them. You're the architect, don't make me be one.
It's a matter of what detailing you bring to this. There's an additional level of detailing you can add to this on the dormers, on the gables, on the coining, on the archways. There's additional level of detail you can bring to this building, which will bring out the Germanic theme. It's there, it's hidden. You have to bring it out. Have your architects look at Germanic architecture and apply that detailing to it.
Does the roof pitch need to be steeper?
Not necessarily, because the dormers are part of the Germanic flavor. You could do it without making it steeper, but you got to bring forward a scenario.
What about the window style?
The detailing of the windows is part of that treatment. A typical Germanic window is a double hung window with the 4-light, 6-light, 4/4 light that brings a little level of detail to it. What's appropriate? It all depends on what other detail you bring.
And even, I appreciate that the brick patterning along the major push outs here. If you wanted to carry some of that through the other brick towards the top, that also gives it more of a Germanic flair.
You want to start doing the X brick pattern like we have on Village Hall here. That brings in a level of detail. If you want to bring the brick all the way to the top of the gables where the Quick Trip sign is and do some detailing in there, it's the detailing that you bring to the brick treatment that's going to make it Germanic or non-Germanic.
Not only building, canopy.
Yes, the fuel canopy as well. Those, yes.
Now, on here, the support structure, you've got brickwork up about halfway. It kind of gets lost given the height of the pumps.
Yep.
That should go to the top, right?
That would make it stand out more, yes.
One thing we've found with that, it starts to look more heavy and it adds a lot more mass to the canopies and kind of hides the building more. So what we've done is we found the most success with having that kind of a little bit of height to break up that mass. You didn't have the full scale of all those bricks up front.
And
That kind of,
how,
As high as a pump.
that's where they're at now.
Right.
And how you present that gives us the opportunity to envision it. If you show me the brick on this all the way to the top with the building behind it, then I get to see the two of them together.
Yeah.
Right now, no, they'd be fine all the way at the top because I got nothing behind it to make it look
There you go.
massive.
Yeah, I didn't even notice the brickwork at first
No, neither
Given-
did I.
with the
Oh, I
pumps.
just appreciate it.
Yeah.
It looks nice.
So what about the entry features? You got two doors, they're entryways, they're identical?
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
One's a sliding door.
One's a side entrance, one's a center entrance.
So what about some kind of, not quite two-story, but some sort of semblance of a tower feature?
Witch's hat?
Oh.
Don't go down
Don't
that
get
road.
got that witch's hat somewhere laying around here. Don't.
We'll never get this built by that time.
I mean, I'm thinking of the Walgreens with one entryway. It's got sort of a, it's not a two-story, but it's got kind of a little bit of a tower, atrium-ish sort of feature on the front that sticks out.
Oh,
When I look at Bavarian architecture and I'm constantly going through it to see stuff, you always see the quintessential small town with its tower element. That's what we are stuck on envisioning. Would that help? Would that bring more Germanic flair to this? It would. But if you can bring a good, solid Germanic theme building without a tower, I'd be open to it. I'm not saying you have to have one. That would do a lot because it's what everybody thinks Germanic is.
McDonald's.
Look at McDonald's, look at Village Hall, look at,
Well, look at the clinic across the street,
at what?
down the street.
Look at the dentist office.
Library, look at Walgreens, they all have their towers to them. Our village accepts that. So if you bring something forward, that gives you a little bit more Germanic theme. But me personally, I can accept Germanic without a tower. I leave it to you, your designers, to bring forward something that looks like a Germanic theme. Not contemporary Germany, but traditional Germany.
Not Omer Emmergo?
I had to fight that battle once and I'm not fighting contemporary Germany again. It is traditional Germany, not contemporary.
Not Ludwig's Castle?
Yes.
Troy, on looking at the site plan, there's a significant stand of mature trees located east of the existing building, probably right where the car wash is proposed. I could go back, can see it just off there. So all of that's going to be removed under your site plan proposal.
It all within it?
They,
Go back to that one.
Yeah.
Most
I
of
mean,
it.
look where the remnants of the silo are on the property in the northeast. When you look at this,
silos there.
silos is the
Silos
actually, the
there.
silos on this property.
Silos on this property.
You're right, it is. And that goes uphill from there, correct?
Significantly.
Yeah. So the landscape here is going to be changed dramatically. I mean, the loss of the green space as you move further north of the building towards Mequon, even the corner where the pylon sign is down in the corner. I mean, the stormwater pond is going to be ideally in that location. So landscaping wise, at a minimum, you're going to be needing to provide something around the perimeter where the trees are going to be lost and also certainly along Lannon Road. Right now, you've got roughly 15 to 20 feet of distance between the curb edge it appears for in the property line along Lannon. I don't know if that's gonna be enough room to put in a significant amount of landscaping.
And
So
I think that goes to the refinement of the overall layout. I don't think you can get a truck out of the diesel fuel and park it in the potential truck parking.
Facing north.
You facing northeast. I don't think you can make that maneuver. Maybe the,
Full semi.
yeah, maybe the car wash goes up there. I think you have to rethink this site plan. This is a first draft. It needs to be relooked at. I'm not gonna say, yes, it's spectacular.
Well, I think the message is, that overall, it's positive. People like the idea of the location and appreciate the investment that you're willing to bring forward. It just needs a couple changes here and there and a couple areas where we need to protect some some wells and such. So overall, I think it's, accepted by the plan commission, but we have some questions in regards to the site itself, the architecture and how it can be more Germanic and the protection of the wellhead in regards. But I think first and foremost, we do appreciate the interest and we do appreciate the willingness to invest.
Thank you. I guess, Jeff, could you go back to the arc? I just had one question to get your thoughts on. Obviously, our most usual standard is to have the green stand seam metal roof. We went to that years ago as kind of a LEED design element. So we used to get LEED certification on buildings. We still designed some of those sustainable standards. The metal roof got you points as opposed to using asphalt shingles. We do have the option to look at the asphalt shingle. I know there's more of those on, the corridor throughout Germantown. There's obviously, we looked a couple of park facilities in the community that were built, park shelters, if you will. They had standing seam metal roof. Any thoughts on shingle versus standing seam?
I'll weigh in on that. I don't have a problem with either material in the overall presentation. If either one looks significantly Germanic, I'll accept it. If you want to go with metal roof because it's better for you and it looks Germanic, fine. If you think it looks more Germanic with a shingled roof, okay, let's go that route. But I don't think we need to say today one or the other.
It needs to be one or the other.
Give you the flexibility to design to what is Germanic in your design.
Right. And if your standard is to go towards the metal roof because of the longevity and a lot of the other positives of it for drainage and lower maintenance overall, then, and you could still meet the requirement of what we're looking to see within the building, then that's fine. We're not saying that it must be shingle, it must be cedar shake, it must be, just give us some look that looks more German.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Any other questions, concerns, comments?
I would just say how your windows engage the walls. When I look at traditional German architecture, the way the windows are inset into the walls, there's always some detail, how the windows engage the brick. There's something always interesting about that. This is a very basic interaction.
I mean, when you look at the gable ends, the treatment under the arch but above the window where it's yellow.
Yep.
I mean, that could be a different material or even just a different color that would bring out the arch a little bit.
There's a lot more you could do with an arch in a German theme.
Right. I mean, look at the front of this building.
Yes. So it's a matter of the level of detailing you bring to it that sets it off. It's you have a very basic configuration there. Okay. It's a start. How do we make it something more? You start detailing it, start bringing the interest into it.
Like even the arch, instead of just a piece of concrete, have some, make it look like it's keystones or something.
Fact, yes, you could do that. I don't have any references in front of me, but what else could you do? There's a ton of things you can do with an arch to bring it from modern to historic to any trait. You just got to go look at the Germanic influences of arches in the past. And is it a simple arch with a keystone in it, which how you detail above and below the arch is one thing. If you look at stoning the arch with a keystone and more corbels is another thing. So it's a matter of the detailing. I can't get into all the detailing that can go into this building in this type of a meeting. If you want to sit down and go through different ideas, I'd be happy to do that, but I don't think you want to do that tonight.
I'm not an architect and I did not stay at Holiday Inn Express last night. So I don't want to
accept that. I accept that. Next time, stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
There you go. No, I think the overall, the concept, and again, the investment, Quick Trip is a well-regarded establishment. Again, it's a Wisconsin-based establishment. People like them. You guys are doing a great job. You got your market down. You got your whole way that you present your food, your products, your gas, everything is working for you. So we do appreciate that, your willingness to stay here.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate your time tonight. Appreciate your feedback.
Anything else? Anything for us? All right. Thank you for coming. All right. That takes care of all items under new business.
Put your hand in the back. I don't know what that's about.
I think we talked about the size.
I think it's so preliminary for final detailing of it that
Right on square footage, right? Sense of what square footage you're taking away from the right way and the exits, entrance.
Go back to the drawing.
Just think what stage.
Yeah, we had mentioned the building was about 9,100 square feet.
Roughly 9,200 square feet and the car wash is another 2,800 square feet.
2 bays,
Correct.
similar to in size in comparison to what's there already.
Correct.
Okay.
Better, newer state-of-the-art equipment gives you a better wash than
You're not adding a truck wash with it? Is there a truck wash at the other one?
there is not. No.
Okay. Okay, so it would be similar in size. So you're looking almost doubling the size of the store,
Correct.
but this car wash in retrospect to be the same as it is today on the site that it is today. So there would be your correlation. Twice the storefront, same size car wash.
right now, I think it's all conceptual. Conceptually, I accept it. There's more refinement that needs to be done. So what's the final square footage? What's the final everything?
Right.
That comes a couple of meetings forward.
That'll come later when they propose a site plan for the whole area. And at the time, they would also show any of the architectural amenities that they've learned from tonight's consultation that they want to incorporate into the building to put before this body for review and for approval. So when they come forward for a site plan for this, they would want to answer some of the questions that we have and the concerns that we have for the placement itself. And then they would show at that time what it would be in a traffic pattern and the placement of the different areas and the parking of the different areas and structurally what the building would look like in each of the different views, whether it be north, south, east, west. And then this body would look at each of those and either approve or make recommendations for changes based on what we would feel would be a good fit for that area, or if we feel that they've met the requirement of the Germanic appearance that we're looking for in that area. But that would be really more at the next meeting or the meeting they would propose their site plan to this body. All right, anything else? Yes, Mr. Williams.
One more quick one, because I just read the additional write-up that we had here. Can you just tell me how many employees you currently have now? I see this, the new bill, or the new location would have 28 to 35 full and part-time employees. Can you tell me how does that compare to your currently?
Yeah, I'll have to get you the exact number, but generally speaking, the bigger building, more facility, we're going to add more folks to staff it, clean it, keep it nice, bigger kitchen. So we'll have more folks. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but our newest, biggest stores like this take generally that number of folks. We're probably on the low side, maybe in the, I guess I would suspect in the low 20s right now.
All right, great. Any other questions? All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate the time and thank you for coming out. Takes care of all items under new business, which then brings us to citizen input and public appearance. If there's anyone in our audience that have come here for citizen input or public appearance, you're welcome to do so at this time. If there is anyone that is joining us via WebEx that would like to participate, please make your wishes known so that the person that is monitoring the WebEx site can bring you forward at the time for you to bring your citizen input or public appearance information to us. So anyone within our audience for citizen input or public appearance may do so at this time.
Yes, good evening, Melanie Smythe, N140W17938 Cedar Lane. I just have two things. One, for those of you who were at the meeting a few months ago, we talked about the 5-year tree program. Well, some of you may not know this, but the Public Works have come out with their draft of the tree program, and I think it would be applicable for some of the work that you're doing here. So if you look it up, it's in the agenda packet from last week's Public Works meeting, and it's a phenomenal piece of information. It's great. They've got their design standards going. So that's one thing. The other thing is I appreciate your remarks about protecting the water in the wells, and would hope that at the point, if and when that Sterling Farmer project goes forward, that there would be similar concerns, because they're, having read what they do in that space, and if we're increasing the amount of their potential production by whatever the number is, it's much more hazardous, I think, potentially, to an area, the kinds of things that they make. I looked it up on DNR. They have had some spills, and they've had some things that they've had to do, but they also have tricky equipment in there, which,
A lot of ammonia.
yeah. So I would appreciate the same level of, I don't know what the word is, but
Concern and
yeah,
consideration.
and just due diligence, but also holding them accountable for keeping up, either repairing if they need to, some of the older equipment, possibly as part of the project, bringing it up to the same level of standards every year. Equipment gets better and better, all of those things. So
Okay.
I would be concerned about that.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to come forward at this time for citizen input or public appearance?
I'm using this as a cheat sheet. I turn in it
Do
afterwards.
you know who she is?
I'm,
Okay.
I'm Jan Miller. Hi, nice to meet you. No, PO Box 837. My concern is this quick trip. Of course, we want businesses that have been here in Germantown to excel. But my concerns are this, the wellhead protection. There's a reason that there's an ordinance. Especially because we have promised water to Richfield. It's called our IGA. And a lot of what we're doing has to do with water, and not only for our residents, but we're taking on another village. And with that, we should protect our well 5 and 7. I also am concerned about the traffic. I don't see how that particular quadrant is a better quadrant than where they're at, knowing that we're going through reconstruction of the whole intersection, 167 and Maple Road, that's being worked on now. And I think those improvements will help the Quick Trip, whether it stays there or and perhaps whether it moves. But if we don't understand what it's going to do to the traffic map, then I'm not crazy about it. We do need to protect our wetlands, and I agree with Commissioner Hank that it needs an aquifer study. We need to dig deeper into what would happen if something went wrong. And it could go to another committee. It could go to Utility Advisory Committee or others. And so the architecture, I agree with you, just have to look around, go to McDonald's, have a cup of coffee, just go up and down Mequon Road and you'll find what you need. I just wanted to mention that we had a similar situation like this. I don't know if you were all here before, but we had the Taco Bell look at a location right across the street. And what we ended up determining, or they determined, was that there wasn't enough turnaround for a semi just to get their deliveries. So what they ended up doing is leveling their current building and building a new one. And they're still in Germantown and they're doing very well. So it's an option and it should be, I think your company should look at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming forward. Is there anyone else that wishes to come forward at this time for citizen input or public appearance? If there is no one else, is there anyone WebEx? No, nobody's even on. All right. If there's no one else, then we can go on to announcements. The only announcements, does anyone else have any announcements first? All right, the only announcements I would have is if you were able to come to the 4th of July celebration last Thursday, I think that you would have seen a very successful parade and events afterward. The weather tried to squash it a little bit, where it rained for about an hour and a half, 2 hours after the parade. But overall, I think it was well received. The parade route that I walked, there was a few gaps along Main Street, but overall, I think it was a lot of people were there, a lot of kids were there, and a lot of people turned out afterward. There was the rain held back a few people, but then when the fireworks came about, I think the park filled up quite nicely. So I'd like to congratulate the Park and Rec Department for taking on the goal of this year planning and putting forward the 4th of July parade and celebration afterward and the fireworks and offering the residents a good place to stay and be for the celebration of 4th of July. So thank you very much. I enjoyed it immensely, had a great time all the way through, and hopefully everybody else that participated did as well. So thank you to them for that. Any other announcements? If there are no other announcements, we can be adjourned. Thank you all for coming tonight, and thank you all for watching.